Welcome back to this video about the command pattern. Now we're going for this last part, which is going to demo everything that we did. We did the receiver, coupled it with the command, and we did the invoker, which enables us to put multiple commands into the invoker, commands that are already coupled with the different receivers. We have both sources and targets and different kinds of damage and healing. So we have a lot of stuff going on. So now we implemented this small queue thing here, so now we want to actually demo that. So there's not much more going on in this figure here. We just need to implement this small client. So now we're just going to use this here. So let's go for that. So we did some of it because along the way I actually implemented some of it. I implemented the dragon, I implemented the wizard, but instead of actually using the invoker, I just invoked it directly from the client. So yeah. So let's just go for the invoker itself. So I called the invoker in this here. I called this the game manager. Let's just call it GM equals new game manager. So that's it. Now I have a game manager. On the game manager, I can actually add different actions. So I can add the heal action. I can add the other actions as well. I have 4 for now. So first I heal myself, then I throw a fireball at the dragon, then the dragon throws a fireball at me, and then I do lightning at the dragon, and then I think the dragon should throw a fireball back. So now we have a fight on our hands. So now I just added the actions. I'm going to remove the executions here and do that directly from the invoker. So what I can do now is I can say gm.doNextAction. So I healed. So now it's doing the first action and then the program stops. So if I copy this a couple of times, it will do the next and the next and the next action. And if I do it too many times, I'll get an error because I'm not checking to see no such element. I'm not checking to see if I'm outside of the list. I only put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it breaks down here, line 46. So yeah, but when watching this, you can quite easily see I could do a for loop on this. I could do something like I want to go from 0 to 4, and I want to have this in here. Yeah, I should do 5 maybe, because I have 5 of them. So now I can actually do that. But I can't actually see the length of this game manager right now. So I could do something completely different. I can actually, if I want to make this more into some game-like thing, let's imagine that each of these actions would actually play an animation or something. So that would take some time. So let's go for that. So I'm going to create something else. I'm going to say that while gm.doNextAction, as we saw in the last video, when I do next action, it returns a boolean, and this boolean will actually tell us if there is something more in that list, because I'm saying if it's not empty, it returns true. If it is empty, it will return false. So I'm going to say do next action, and then for each action I'm going to do a new line. So I'm just going to say out here. So it's just going to put lines in between. So another thing that would make it more like a game is that if we simulate we could simulate something like an animation. So I could say private void simulate anim, and then we could say an animation would take something like 1 second or something, so we use the thread class for sleeping for 1 second. And if we do that, we need to surround that with a try-catch block like this, because it can have an interrupted exception. So let's go for that. So public, private, we need to make this static in order to call that from the main method. It needs to be static. So I'll just put that here. So just after it prints the new line, I will simulate the animation. So we see it looks like a game now. Yebba healed, fire damage, etc. So this is it. This is how we can use that. Something that I maybe didn't explain is that normally we use that invoker because we can then set the command on the invoker and send that to some other class that doesn't need to know about the command interface, doesn't need to know about the receiver, doesn't need to know about the commands themselves. So the invoker can wrap everything up if we want to send it to someone else, and this is one of the reasons why it can be a good idea to use the invoker. Here I kind of elaborated on that idea and just use it as a game manager. I think this is not the original intention, but I think to prove the point, I think it was okay in this case. That was actually it for now. So now we have everything up and running. I think the last thing, I'm going to make a last video number 5, but don't know where to write that. So video number 5 is going to be the last video, and in that video I'm going to show you something that is nice about the way I did this, where we can actually do something very special called undo. So we could actually make it possible to undo these actions, because we have the actions like this, so we have them in a list. So we could actually put undo actions here and then go back. But of course something cannot be undone. So if you're dead, you cannot be revived, or maybe you could if you have something like revival in the game. So let's look at that in the last part here, number 5, where we put undo. It has nothing to do with the command pattern. It's just bonus information to do something fun.